to the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode number 70, the big 7-0. You're joining myself, Chris, alongside my lovely co-host, the techie teacher himself, Mr. Tom.
Hello! I got my new desk. My office is feeling good. I'm nearly there, gents. I'm nearly there. I feel so much more at home now that this is all set up. I feel like a pro gamer. I've got my LEDs going on and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty hype in here right now.
Pretty hype, all about the games. Love to see it. And below him, the man of many pixels, joining us once again for episode number 70, Mr. Richie. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Unlike Tom, I'm not using a nice new desk. I'm using the same desk I've had for like 12 years or something now.
12 years. You're getting your use out of that wood. That's it.
Oh, yeah,
solid.
Definitely.
You love to see that as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for episode 70 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, the longest-running Stadia podcast this side of Google Maps, of course, where us three lovely gentlemen bring you all the weekly gaming and Stadia news rounded up into a lovely digital package for your viewing or listening pleasure. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the show, give us a like down below and subscribe so you are kept in the loop with all things Sounds of Stadia, because we do much more than a podcast. We bring weekly live streams when we don't have internet issues, Richard.
We try
to. If you've not noticed, the world's under a bit of strain and the internet is clearly being drank up by everybody else, and there's not enough to go around. So apologies.
No excuse, my opinion.
Well, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But we do have a great show for you all
Yeah.
lined up this week, where we are going to be talking about Resident Evil. Is it on Stadia? Is it not on Stadia? Kind of is, kind of isn't. We'll get into that. Stadia apparently looking at acquiring some new studios, has been doing the rounds this week in the news, and some other studios have been folded into some for the dismay of, I think, probably both me and Tom as well. It's a shame. But again, not as much Stadia news this week, but we've definitely got a great show lined up, and we're of course going to be looking at our February Pro predictions as well, because that is on the horizon. At the time of listening, you're probably a day or two out from hearing about it. So let's do a bit of housekeeping just to get the show started, gents, as this is episode 70 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Wow. Quick apology to throw it out there right off the bat for our Thursday night live stream. I know at the top of the show we said we do weekly live streams. What I should caveat that is we attempt to do weekly live streams because thanks to internet issues and whatever, it wasn't Stadia's fault, but my internet in my house is just, I'm going through this phase at the moment where it's reconnecting intermittently on and off all the time. And as you know, as Stadia players out there, you need a stable connection to play these games, or to stream to YouTube for that matter. So it wasn't happening. Me and Richie got kicked in and out of the game several times. I got kicked out of the game several times. We blamed it on the armadillo, right, Richie?
Yeah, you tried to shoot an armadillo, then everything went to hell.
Yeah, it was almost like instant karma. I wanted to see if the armadillo was bulletproof, because they look like they could be bulletproof. Shot at one, it ran away, I went to chase it, and that's when I got kicked out of the game for the first instance. It reloaded me back into the game on the very precarious edge of a cliff, which would have been ironic if it had killed me in between the loss of the game. But we didn't really get a chance. We tried to sort things out, and it just wasn't going to work. So apologies to anyone who's tuned in on Thursday. We will be back, of course, with another live stream when my internet issues get resolved.
Yeah, like me and you were on call for like an hour after we killed the live stream, just trying to think of any way we could solve the problem. But
shit happens, eh? Shit happens. Speaking of shit that's happening, we're on the road to 1K, and you can help us get there by sharing with your friends. We're about 70 subs away, everybody. Just 7. That's the number of episodes we're up to. What are the chances of that? That's crazy coincidence.
Illuminati.
But we are so close.
3 confirmed.
Yeah, well, that's it. But we are so close, and we would love it if you would reach out to anyone else you know in the Stadia community. Share us on your forums that you may use. We try and get on social media as much as we can, but we are only 3 people. So if you know somewhere that the Stadia chat are going on, drop us in there. We'd massively appreciate it. So that's the housekeeping. Very short and brief this week. But we do want to say a massive thank you to one of our new patrons as well. We've got Kaif joined us over on there, which you can as well at patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, where from as little as $1, you can sub up early. You get our post-show episodes 5 days earlier than the free feeds. You get exclusive personal chat with us as well. I was going to say personal. We don't get that personal. I mean,
we could.
If you ask the right type of questions. Ask and you may receive. But before this episode gets totally off the rails, gentlemen, I'd like to just start the week with just learning a little bit about what we've been playing. What have we been playing? What have we been up to? Stadia or otherwise? I'll throw it over to you, Richie. What have you been up to this week?
So, for a while, I was just after I finished Cyberpunk, I was kind of bouncing between. You know, do you ever go through these phases where you just bouncing between games and you don't really nothing's clicking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I went for one of my comfort food games, and I've been binging the hell out of Pokemon X.
Oh wow, okay. Taking it old school.
Yeah, I've got. It's not that old school. Pokemon X isn't that old, but it's like 2 generations ago now. But yeah, I'm like 7 badges in.
Oh wow,
nice.
nice.
Yeah,
So,
you were
getting
saying to
towards
me the other day you were up till what 3 a.m. You were 8 beers in playing Pokemon X. Like what a life, what a lifestyle.
Yeah, I was sat here because I am cheating a bit. I was playing on an emulator just entirely for speed hack reasons.
Oh,
I do actually have a 3DS right there.
I thought you were pointing like
and
the
I do
loft or
on the
something.
game. Actually, the blue thing in front of it is Kyogre that I got with my Alpha Sapphire pre-order. So nice. I do own the game. So I was just using it just purely so I can play the game at 300% speed.
I'm pretty sure the rules say that. I say the rules. What rules? As long as you physically own it, you are allowed to own the ROM, or you are allowed to emulate it. So I don't think there's any sort of like.
I think if you dump the ROM yourself, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you download it off the internet, I think it's not.
Right.
Although I think it's more the person who's distributing the ROM is at fault rather than the person acquiring it. I don't know.
So Mr. Nintendo Kool-Aid guy is not going to bash through you all right and just like arrest you. Okay. No. That's fine then. How about yourself, Tom? What have you been twiddling your thumbsticks with this week?
It's been a rough week in terms of console gaming. I haven't really done much console gaming simply because I've just not had the time to do it. We've got a lot going on at school at the moment. Trying to get reports and paperwork and boring shit done, basically. But in between, the League of Legends European Championships have started up, the LEC again. So I sort of found myself playing a little bit of League of Legends again lately, just because new champions have been released. It's a new season, and I'm just a little bit hyped for that at the moment. That being said, they have released the beta for the Wild Rift, which is the console version. It's currently out on mobile at the moment, but there are rumors it's coming to console. So I'm still hopeful that we might see it on a certain platform by Google, but I'd love to, but League of Legends mostly for me.
League of Legends, interesting. Yeah. I've been playing a little bit of Hitman, not 3, because I feel like I've got the original 2 games to get through, so I've done a few of the other missions in that one myself, and if anyone's kept their eye on my Twitter feed, after last week's post show, I got a bit of an itch to jump back into the world of Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth. I went through all the loopholes of not so much emulation, but first point of call was I didn't have a disk drive, but then thankfully I had one through work, which was like a Lenovo whatever, so that plugged in and worked fine. Installed the games. They will not open on Windows 10. That was the first problem I had. I had to find a forum that had a patch, which was cobbled together with some lovely fans of the game who were clearly good at developing or editing game code or something like that. So they had a patch 1.9. I had to do that, then install a separate launcher, and it was a whole rigmarole to get these things to launch and play. But I've managed to do it. I've went into the code and changed the resolution so I can play them at 1080 as well, which is nice to see. Right. And I've been jumping in. They've tweaked some of the characters, like kind of animations, and they've edited some of the maps where they're a bit clunky when EA made the game back in like 2006. So it was great. I even tried to showcase it to my wife, who doesn't understand the fun in RTS games to a point where.
But she's more than happy to micromanage you around the house.
Well, exactly, yeah. But there was the whole concept of RTS. It was like, right, there's your L's, highlight them, and then attack those bad guys over there. And then she was like, but I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching them play out the attack, and then you highlight them again, you move them to the next part. And I was like, yeah, but it's more about like when you get to the resource management, and at that like 10 minutes in, I was like, I've lost you up now. Like,
I don't get the combat. You'll wait till you get to the resource management.
It's a hard sell for a non-gamer. An RTS game is a hard sell, whereas I think anyone like us and anyone out there who's played them before, you know fine well you can sink hours into like hacking trees, digging for stone, searching for gold, and just like you get stuck in that limbo where the enemy attack you, you defend your fort, and you just kind of, no one really makes any movement. It's a bit like the trenches in real life. No one gets any actual ground bar a few meters, but 7 hours into the game and 3 a.m. in the morning, you're thinking, I should probably pause it here and get some real sleep. But it just gives me that encouragement that I'd love to see more RTS games on Stadia, because that whole mouse and keyboard ability to have that flexibility to move around would be great. So yeah, a bit of Hitman, bit of old school gaming with the disc, and I do have the codes. What I actually did forget as well is when it asked for the product key, I was like, oh shit, if I threw the booklet out, because it's printed on the back of the booklet, and thankfully I still have them. I was like, whew. Then to be fair, a quick Google would have found me a product key, no doubt. But yeah. Again, playing it as legally as I can do in 2021.
That's it. If I physically own it, or I've just lost the booklet, I wouldn't feel any guilt about using like a distributed like online product key, because like I own this game anyway. I've just lost the thing.
Certainly.
Same reason why I don't feel any guilt at using emulator to play Pokemon X, because I own the game.
I own the game. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, I think the post-show podcast last week really made me just think about how difficult it is, and what we'll probably never see these games again, just due to licensing and copyrights, and especially with the movie tie-in things we discussed, like Tom Yours' Star Wars Galaxies, which we know they've got deals left, right, and centre now with everyone else. And yeah, the Lord of the Rings stuff was a year. Now it's Warner Brothers, and it's the Tolkien estate, and it's Amazon own the rights for the Second Age, and it's all this.
I was going to say maybe we'll see an Amazon Game Studios Lord of the Rings, won't we?
I mean, I'll play it. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, let us know in the comments below. Go check out the post show from last week, where we went a little bit more in depth about what movie game tie-ins we love to play. It was a really good episode. I love chatting about old school stuff. But that's not what we're here for. We are here now for the present, the current, and the future. So, Tom, if you could give us the rundown for the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
And the news this week kickstarts off with the Resident Evil showcase that was last Thursday. It dropped. Actually, I watched it. Initially, me and Richie were going to do a watch along in hope that it came to Stadia, and then all the internet problems we had, it was like, let's maybe not push our luck with even doing that. So we moved on. But thankfully, it wasn't too much of a loss, because the Resident Evil Village trailer looks great. They're going back again, which we knew, with that first-person perspective. Following off the back of Resident Evil 7. So they've very much got like these distinguished styles now, haven't they? We've got the remakes happening with 2 and 3, and whatever follows on from that one in the third-person style, and then we've got these ones leaning heavily into the very spooky first-person. Now, to kind of feed the story, and so the showcase basically showed off some of the gameplay. You start in a village, which of course, just so they could shoehorn the name in with the Roman numerals, they had to go with. And then you end up in some kind of castle. And there's some giant lady, basically. Have you seen all this on the internet, guys, about there's a woman who's like 8 foot tall, and apparently everyone thinks she's like the absolute bomb, just because I don't know whether
I've seen some memes going around with Capcom and Resident Evil with all the villains are tall characters with top hats.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of stuff online already that people have a bit of a kink for this tall lady. It would appear there's something about her that's got a lot of intrigue going. But she looks very much like the nemesis who's going to chase you through the corridors. I'm sure she's probably got like some secret spider monster living inside her who's going to come out at some point. But yeah, they essentially showcased that. They dropped a demo which only went onto PS5. I think it was an exclusive demo where it was like a walkthrough. You weren't able to use weapons. But I think the biggest thing off the back of it, for a disappointment from myself and probably you two and the rest of our community, is no mention of Stadia again. Which this is the first big game announcement that we get a date for 2021. And I think the biggest thing, what feels like a rug pulled from under us, is the fact that we had that leak where Google paid Capcom $10 million or something dollars for this game and 7 to be ported over to Stadia. Now, they never really came out and give a rebuttal for that, or actually any more clarity on it. They just kept quiet, which I suppose from a business standpoint, it's a clever move, because then no one knows. But where do you guys sit with this one now that we don't know about it? Or do you think it's coming, or do you think it's just Google keeping it down?
It's tricky to say now. It's tricky to say, because we obviously had all those rumors or supposed leaks with no real sort of context given at the end of the day. We know that some people within the community who actually posted about those leaks got DMCA'd, so that's a little bit sort of like a hint potentially that that it could potentially be, some legitimacy to it. But I think it's a little bit disheartening for the actual reveal of the game, or the announcement of the game, I suppose, to not include Stadia in any sort of context whatsoever. Because if it is coming to Stadia, that's sort of the place that you want to be talking about it. You don't want to be talking about it in, let's say, a month or 2 months time, because by that point the ship's already sailed. Like, you've already lost your initial hype.
It's logo gate revisited. You want the initial launch reveals of the product to have your logo there. And I think for Stadia, if it is coming to Stadia, it's more important, I think, for Stadia to have their logo there than say Microsoft or Sony, because the expectation is that it would be there. Where Stadia really need to be shown that we are the third major.
Yeah, we're getting big games.
Yeah, I mean, you throw the term logo gate around, but the reality is that's it's tried and true at this point that we can't make excuses for Stadia anymore at this point, because we are now over a year into the ecosystem. At this point, we should be seeing new games realistically with the badge slapped on it. If they're not being slapped on it from the get-go, there is a problem there that fundamentally needs to be addressed. And people within the community, I know I'm already going to upset some people saying this, people within the community are going to come to Stadia's defense immediately, and they're going to say, oh, give it time, and like, just the logo not being there doesn't mean that it's going to come to the platform. It doesn't matter anymore. We're past the point now where where we can make that excuse. We need to know that the games are coming to the platform, because we're now at a point where realistically, now Hitman 3's out, what have we got to look forward to? That's what I'm sort of thinking. We've supposedly got 400 plus games coming this year.
But we don't know any of them.
No, we don't know what is coming at this point. So it's about time. Granted, we're at the end of January. Where's the news?
It's back to that age-old thing of a roadmap, and I think what's extra bit of salt in the wound for this one is it's the first, like, arguably the first big AAA game of the year that's not first party. It's going to be on every platform, and off the back of all this, none other than Stadia is very much probably their biggest competitor in the future months and years going forward, is Amazon Luna, who, let's remember, is still in beta. They came out with a tease saying that you could play Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which is the prequel to this game, on Luna Plus. And then later they came out and said, it's actually available now. So Google paid their tens of millions, and then now their competition is actively coming out and saying, you can play the game early before 8 comes out, and guess what? It's available on our Luna Plus package, which is essentially the Stadia Pro equivalent. So now here you've got these two competing cloud networks, and one of them now has this game to play right now, and on Pro, I don't know what we have, West of Loathing. Kind of like, again, this is where it's all about the games again. And for me, it is just that bit of salt in the wound where, yes, we might not have a roadmap, and Google might want to do these shadow drop things. But that's not how marketing works. Any other big business will tell you this, that's not how it works. And
especially when you're a new platform.
Yeah.
When you're a new platform and you're trying to get new people in, you need to give people it doesn't have to be a full complicated roadmap. But people like us, if people are looking at what games are coming to Stadia, let's check out what sounds of Stadia, and we don't know, that means it goes on. No one knows. Like, why should I get Stadia? You can only then look at the games that are on the platform already and not at what's coming up. And quite often, you probably want to look at both.
Well, yeah, because then all it takes is one person to go, I'm a massive Resident Evil fan. I can't wait to play it on my phone, on the move, essentially, or on multiple devices. I'm not interested in committing to next-gen consoles with PS5 and such yet. Oh, look, Luna are tweeting out that you can play the old one now and the new one's coming. But I did have one eye on Stadia, and now my favourite franchise of all time has come to Luna. I might deviate over to there. And that's when you lose your footing from a marketing standpoint, because people will switch and they won't move back.
I think the bitter taste in my mouth here is the fact that, again, that leaked document, and I know we're really basing it on leaks and we're not basing it on any real hard evidence for it, but they were supposedly bringing 7 to Stadia. So what I'm hoping this isn't is, Google have obviously thrown the money there, but are they throwing the money at Capcom purely just to stay relevant in this sort of competition? Like, we know that Google is based on a different sort of, it's based on a Linux-based platform as opposed to a Windows-based platform, which Luna is. So there is sort of like an ease of being able to port to Luna. But I doubt Amazon have had to throw, tens of millions at Capcom to allow them to do that.
Yeah.
they probably haven't had to invest as much money, and maybe that could be a fault of Google's for opting for the base that they've gone for. I can't really say. But what I'm hoping this isn't is an ongoing trend where if we want to expect to see certain games of a certain caliber on Stadia, that Google then have to fork out tens plus, hundreds plus of millions just to try to appease the developers. We should be seeing these companies want to do it. Like that's where you want to be at. We don't want Google to be approaching people and saying like, right, okay, we would love for your game to be on our platform. What we need to see is them saying to Google, we would love our game to be on Stadia. That's the end goal. That's what they want to achieve.
I do think that will happen eventually, but that just comes with player base. But once you need to get your player base up, and to do that, you need to be hitting the big AAAs. And this Resident Evil is one of the pillars of the gaming industry. Always has been. Since like Resident Evil 1, it's just been ubiquitous with gaming. But I think if it is a problem with porting to the platform, that might be why Google have to fork out the money to make it worthwhile. Because the Resident Evil engine might work already on a Windows-based platform, because it's probably not like similar to... Yeah, so maybe that's why Google need to pay a premium to get it over there.
Yeah.
But then you'd think just if it's going to come out later because they're working on getting the platform stable on Linux, just say that. Like,
interesting. So my not biggest worry, but is there a scenario, gentlemen, where that leak for Google was Google paying 10 million? Is there a possibility Amazon offered more? And that's why it's here, and it actually isn't coming to Google Stadia at all, and Amazon just beat them with a bigger offer, and now they've got the same deal, which was 7 coming early, and then 8 coming later. And is there a weak chance we go into May and we just don't see 8 or 7 at all?
That'll be rough. That will.
That's a bad precedent. That's just a bad precedent, because any titles would then just be coming down to a bidding war between Amazon and Google folding.
Yeah,
because it is suspicious that it's the same deal, right? That it's port 7 across and then 8 when it launches, and now, especially within the showcase, they actually mentioned that it's coming to last gen as well. You're going to see PS4 and Xbox One iterations of the Resident Evil 8 or Village, and here we are where Stadia's breaching that gap between last gen and next gen, and this again, it's no mention. Silence isn't golden, unfortunately, when it comes to marketing. And then you get 3 Muppets like us who theorize and stretch things out. But
we only do that because we don't have the info.
Yep.
Yeah, you can only speculate. I mean, that's eventually people have to succumb to the fact that that's what we're going to do. You know, when there's no real clarity from Google about a situation which directly involves them, we have no choice but to speculate about it. Like,
and you know what would have put all this to rest? The Stadia account retweeting the Resident Evil thing with maybe just a side-eye emoji or a ghost emoji or a little house for a village. That's all it would have took. Just some kind of acknowledgement that we're in this ball game, we're playing this. It might not be now, we might not want to talk about it now, but just the smallest shard of acknowledgement that it's potentially coming. And yet here we are. So to wrap that one up then, lads, will Resident Evil 8 Beyond Luna on the May launch date alongside the rest of the industry? Yes or no, Tom?
Not at launch.
I'm with Tom, not at launch.
I think it will be at
launch.
And
I hate getting into this. Do you? Really?
I think we're going to...
On what basis?
On the basis that I think we're going to have a connect between now and May. They have to have something to talk about between now and May. And at the connect, I think it's the only next big AAA game this side of summer. And they need something to showcase. And I think that's the only reason they'd stay quiet on it, is that they want to do the typical thing where they're going to hold all the cards close to the chest for some kind of event.
Yeah.
But I don't like that approach. I'm sorry to say, Stadia community, I'm sorry to say, I don't like that approach anymore. I hope there are some people who agree with me. Yeah. It's not good. It's not smart.
It can work occasionally, but when you're doing it for absolutely everything, this for me, you put the information out there, but then you hold some of the information close to your chest. Maybe something like release date, if you're not sure when it's going to be. That's something you can hold back. But something coming to the platform isn't something you should be keeping quiet on. it's something you should be shouting from the rooftops from.
But we'll see. But then on a weird twist of fate, then moving on to our second story later in the showcase, Resident Evil is coming to Stadia. So is it? Yeah. So let us know in the comments below what you think about whether or not we're getting Resident Evil Village. But in terms of the actual game, it has arrived, but not in the way probably a lot of people were expecting from the showcase. So those Ubisoft fans out there, those people who are part of the Division and play the Division 2, there's a special event coming across that runs from February the 2nd through till February the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day, with special outfits and gear as well, and weapon skins you can earn and such, and you can kit your people out within Division with the little hats and the Raccoon City PD armor and such as well. So yeah, 25th anniversary. You can play as. So it is coming to Stadia, just in the form of a little niche part of another smaller game.
Yeah.
Does that appease you
Cosmetic
too?
DLC for another game.
Does it appease the missing itch? Or the oh no, not in the slightest. No. I mean, it's cool. I love the I just love the stuff that comes with Resident Evil in terms of like the characters and a bit of the lore. Yeah. I like the ongoing sort of storylines of different characters, but it's just an event in the Division 2. Like, it doesn't really...
Yeah, if you're a big fan of the Division 2 and you buying your cosmetic stuff and you're also a big Resident Evil fan, this is fantastic for you, depending on the cost of it, of course. But for everyone else, I think it's just kind of, that's a cool thing to see happen.
I might jump back into the Division 2 just for this, because I think it'd be nice to get the gear, at least just to participate in a crossover event. But I suppose I know we're a Stadia
haven't played in a while. We should play Division 2 at some point.
Yeah, let's do it after the podcast.
Yeah,
it doesn't fill that gap. It really doesn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a shame the Division 2 doesn't actually have like a zombie horde mode yet, because especially with like the built up streets that they have in Washington and such, I feel like it would lend itself very, very well to just swap out the usual NPCs for zombies and give them like a different movement style, and change the hit points. Maybe it's more for just like gun them down, headshots, one hit kill kind of deal. And the Division 2 could be a very, very different game very quickly. And
you're basically just describing Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Well, except for it's not first person, but yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Where is Quarantine? We forgot about that one. That could be another game on the horizon for this year, one of the 400.
Could be.
But yeah, so if you're looking for some Raccoon City merchandise or some Resident Evil stuff, jump into the Division 2. You've got up until the 15th of February, starting the 2nd of February, for the 25th anniversary event. I do like to see it, honestly, but it does seem like a bit of a bitter pill off the back of not finding out you're getting 7 or 8 and your competition, Amazon Luna, who is still in beta, are getting it. Obviously, it doesn't make a difference to us in the UK because it's still not available.
Yeah, I have a quick update on actually Rainbow Six Quarantine. It was actually originally slated to be released on March the 21st this year, but on January the 19th of this year, it's basically been pushed back to the next fiscal year, so the 2021-2022 fiscal year, which will be like after April.
We'll take it out. We'll put it in that same bracket with what's the one? I can't think. Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2. Is it Beyond Good and Evil 2 or 3?
They're not games. They never were. It's just vaporware.
CGI concepts to rouse the hype train.
Although The Last Guardian eventually came out, so who knows?
It did, yeah. And Half-Life Alyx out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not quite Half-Life 3, but hey.
But hey. But speaking of games that have came out, our third news story of the week is Hitman 3 is now available on Stadia, and it's came out to really good reviews, gentlemen. I've watched a good couple of bits and pieces as I've been playing through like Hitman 1/2, whichever levels I've been playing. Hitman 3 launched this past week. I've seen loads of people jump into it, loads of the Stadia community as well. I think Meg did a great stream, Megatron X, if you've not checked out her channel already. She did a great stream playing through, and again, it's a really good one, I think, for audiences to participate in because there's so many outcomes. But the game looks gorgeous, and it just reiterates my love for the fact that this studio, IO Interactive, are now moving on to a James Bond game. It has me super hyped for that. But it's currently sitting with a Metacritic score of 83. It's getting some stellar reviews. places like Push Square, IGN, giving it 9s out of 10s. Very much saying it's more of the same, but it's got a bit more story to this particular one. If you've not seen the opening credits, it starts off very much like a James Bond Mission Impossible. You fly into Dubai, you land on one of the big skyscrapers, and you have to go in and assassinate your target within one of those big, massive, luxurious penthouse suite kind of deals. Does this tickle either of your two interests, or are we still on? Have we been drawn in by the potential Fest AAA Game of the Year, or are we still a bit lukewarm on the Hitman approach?
I'm very interested, to be honest with you. I've just got to find the time to sit down and actually do it. I know that when it first launched, IO had a few issues with the servers on launch day, particularly with the transferring of like old data from Hitman 1 and 2, because of this whole like World of Assassination platform that they've got, because it's all embedded into one system, isn't it? Yep. Hitman 1, 2, and 3. I know they had a lot of issues in the original launch with people saying that the hardest mission in Hitman 3 is actually getting to play Hitman 3. But hopefully all of that's been ironed out now. I must admit I've been quite keeping myself in the dark with this, because I'm kind of interested to experience it all myself. The reviews, as you said, though, they look great. I'm super excited to get into it. But again, it's on the list of many things to play at the moment. So as and when I get to it, I suppose.
I'm still a bit lukewarm on it, to be honest. I've played Hitman 1 a handful of times, and it just never fully clicks for me. I never get that itch to just keep playing. I'll finish out a level and go, okay, I'm done with that every single time I've tried. So I can appreciate and respect what the game is, but I just don't think it is for me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sorry, we should talk about state share as well there, I suppose, really, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now we've got state share out there in the wild. I must admit, I haven't seen anybody really sharing any states for me to try. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know whether you guys have had a different experience. Have you seen anybody sharing any states for Hitman 3?
Not from the bits and pieces I watched, but some of the ones I watched that weren't on Stadia, admittedly, as well. It was on PS5, showing off ray tracing elements and stuff like that. So
there might be stuff in like the Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to put a community shout out here, then, guys. I'm really tempted with Hitman 3 here. I'm going to buy the game. I'm going to buy it tonight. But I want you to show me so far. I want you to tweet at me at AdaxisLP or to at Sounds of Stadia. And I want you to tweet me your state shares from Hitman 3. I want you to show me why I should move this up my playlist. There you go. There's the challenge.
Why I should move it. So, yeah.
Give me the experience.
It's a weird one for me, because I've been enjoying like 1 and 2, and again it's that leap to number 3. I don't feel like there's still so much I can do in the other previous games, and albeit we are obviously a time of we're on like January 753rd of the month, and I feel like Payday is still infinitely far away, and a brand new title dropping at such a niche time of the year is for me. I can't really convince myself to buy it just yet, but it does go back, Tom, to that World of Assassination, where I do feel that they very, very cleverly built it up now, so you can play all the missions from 2 and 1 in 3. So they've almost like built like kind of like a games as a service almost, where if they could add more maps in and more customization and more variety into this game going forward, they've almost built like a perfect platform where, yes, if you enjoyed 1, you enjoyed 2, just play them in this one, but this time around you're getting slightly better graphics and whatever else comes with number 3, better, newer weapons and stuff, because it is just a big sandbox at the end of the day. But the fact that it's all within this world of assassination, one engine, one place, it bodes quite well for the franchise. As they step away to do 007 things, I think this could still be a very ever-present game that gets almost like seasonal content. And if it does really well for them, it's something they can almost like dip back into at free choice without having to put like another title out. And that's quite a clever business model for games.
It's how they released Hitman 1, how they rebooted it. They rebooted it on an episodic thing, so every episode would bring out a new level with new challenges and stuff. So now they have the world of the assassination. They could literally just go, every night, maybe a couple times a year, we'll just drop a new level.
Yeah. It's like if they crunch the numbers. Sorry?
Is this the end of the franchises in like releasing subsequent sequels?
They have been referring to it as a trilogy,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there won't be a Hitman 4, but I think it's the end of this overarching storyline, which is why I think they're more focused on story this time round.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see that if this is, now that the trilogy is complete, and we're obviously talking about this now from a games as a service sort of perspective with persistent updates for the foreseeable future, we'll call it. Yeah. I'm just interested to see that with them moving on to a new IP or to a different IP, moving over to the 007 game, whether this is sort of it for Hitman for the time being, because obviously they've done in the past with the Hitman games, you've sort of had a collection of Hitman games, then a big pause before this new trilogy's come out here. So I wonder whether this is actually now drawing a line under the franchise, per se.
I think in the past, they had dwindling sales from game to game, so I think they've decided to just take a break from it. And it might be a case of, okay, we've got 3 games, the overarching story that we wanted to tell, we've now told. Let's go do something else for a little while. We'll still support the games, and then we'll come back to it later. We might come back to it after they finish with 007.
Yeah, okay. I think a nice break would do probably the franchise well, because you don't want to be too. I feel like they've got these 3 games out very, very quickly. I don't feel like Hitman 2 came out that long ago, but obviously with it all being done in the same engine, they can clearly iterate on it quite a rapid speed in terms of game development. But I feel like if they can just leave this one to boil over as a games as a service, and they do add seasonal content, like a special Halloween pack where you hunt someone dressed at a Halloween party and everyone's in a costume and you have to find the right guy. That could be fun, and again, sticking Agent 47 with a little Santa hat on or in an elf costume, that could be iteratively funny year on year. But I don't think we need a Hitman 4 anytime soon. It's great to see that this is actually almost rounding out the trilogy on a really high note with a decent score. Coming out at a time of well, let's face it, there's not much out right now, so it could potentially have the clear runway to do some decent sales numbers. So I hope it does really send IO off onto the Bond franchise with a bit of money in the coffers, and they can look back at this and think, actually, we can do seasonal stuff if it's financially viable for us.
It's not necessarily the money, I think, for them. It's the critical acclaim that they're getting. A high Metacritic rating will stand them in good stead when it comes to marketing the next game, the next project.
Yeah, true.
Because they've just had 3 since it was 2016, the first Hitman of the World Assassination trilogy came out. So in 4 years, they've had 3 decently reviewed games.
Indeed. So but,
good for them.
Good for them. Yeah. Good for I like IO.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work, and we'll see you on the 007 front in the near future. But so good luck to IO and Hitman, I guess. Agent 47 out there doing his stuff. Maybe we'll get a different protagonist next time, because I feel like it's been.
I like when we get nice stories.
You think possibly the end of 47?
I mean, you'll have to play the game and let us know, Tom. Next one.
It's going to be the Alex Trevelyan story next. They're going to go back to an earlier agent.
For England, James. But so speaking of good stories and bad stories from our take as well, we've not seen it really covered in the Stadia community because it's not Stadia specific, but I think it does pertain to just the games industry in general, and Vicarious Visions, owned by Activision. It was announced this week as part of one of their kind of corporate calls that they do, that it's going to be merged in with Blizzard Entertainment. So for those of you out there who are familiar with the titles, these are the guys who rebooted the Crash Bandicoot stuff. They did the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which is one of my favourite reboots of all time, based on one of my favourite games of all time. And they also did Richie for you. They did the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 reboots that got made just last year. They were highly revered as some of the best remakes ever. And you played the hell out of those.
After a decade, we finally got another Tony Hawk's game, and it turns out it was 1 and 2. But the thing with them games is it's all about how it feels to play, and they nailed it.
Yeah, so the shocking news from all this is they're not being fully shuttered. No one's losing their jobs or anything, so that's great. But they're being folded in as a support studio to help Blizzard, which essentially means that the team that's made some albeit games based on past titles, they've clearly shown the love and care and attention to breathe fresh life into a past IP, albeit with the same framework. But it just sucks, right? That the studio that's made two well-revered games. Now they're going to just be a support studio for what Diablo and other stuff.
Yeah, so they're supposedly actually, I mean, this is where I get a little bit hyped, because they're actually supposedly working on a complete remaster to Diablo 2. Even with Diablo 4 in the works, they're looking at remastering the original Diablo 2. The only issue with that is that quite recently, Blizzard actually released Warcraft 3 Reforged, which was supposed to be a remastered Warcraft 3. And it was not good.
I was excited for that game until I heard about the reviews and stuff. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, well, the worst thing I suppose about it is the fact that Blizzard used the platform Battle.net, which anybody within the PC sort of gaming space should be aware of. Battle.net, you could previously to the release of Warcraft 3 Reforged buy the old school Warcraft 3, like the battle chest where you used to get all the expansions with it and so on. And they took that off. They got rid of that and replaced it with Warcraft 3 Reforged, because they were basically giving a big middle finger up and saying, we want you to play the new one, screw the old game. Like, even though a lot of people, like you, Chris, with Battle for Middle-earth, a lot of people had a lot of love for Warcraft 3.
My last Warcraft game was Warcraft 3. I loved the hell out of that game. Yeah. And then when they went to World of Warcraft, I was one of those people who was like, I don't really get the online stuff. I don't really get the sudden need for a subscription every year and all that kind of stuff. Or my parents would buy me the subscription, I guess. And that's when I bounced. But yeah, I loved the hell out of Warcraft 3 and Age of Empires and Battle for Middle-earth. That was like my shit back then. And I fell out of love with the franchise because then they never did another RTS game, which... Yeah.
Well, when Reforged came out, it was just buggy. It was crap. Let's just put it that way. It was just a crap remaster of a classic game.
I might have to borrow your disc drive, Chris, because I've got them on disc. I can't play online because the service is down, but I can play the campaign, and the campaign in Warcraft 3 is amazing.
Oh, that the whole point of like taking Arthas to ice, like just beautiful.
Just playing through his like. Decline into the Lich King.
Going to Northrend and everything. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, after you've borrowed the disc drive, Richie, can I borrow the disc as well? Play it back over.
I'm just hoping that Vicarious being folded into Blizzard. Vicarious have obviously done some really good things for reimaginings. We know that from our own gaming experience. I'm hoping they can do something good with a potential Diablo 2 remaster.
I'm trying to figure out why you'd need to fold them into Blizzard if they're just still going to be working on remasters, though. Because they could just do that through Vicarious Visions, because both companies were owned by the parent company Activision.
I wonder if it's just to try
this is why I'm more skeptical in them like working on ports. I think they are literally going to be a support studio for Blizzard. Someone... who they might work on certain assets or things, and
well, from the article, it basically says, it does actually mention in the article from VentureBeat, if you want to go check it out, it does mention how much of a shit show Warcraft 3 Reforged was, and apparently still is a disaster to this day. But because of that failure, they said it's a big part on Activision, because they're a very money driven. A lot of stuff that happens, whether it's Call of Duty or otherwise, it's always down to the bottom line of like the shareholders and stuff, and how it impacts them more than probably a lot of other companies. But yeah, because of the way the revenue stream is currently set up for like the future years, and they don't want to rely on Call of Duty all the time. They've obviously got Diablo 4 in the works as a huge project, and they've got Overwatch 2, and I think both of them they need to land. Like, they need to basically hit the ground running when it comes to these launches. So for Activision's like bottom line, it says they need them to be big hits. So essentially, Vicarious Visions will be moving their 200 employees, because that's a big studio compared to like some of the smaller ones out there as well. 200 employees won't no longer be taking the lead. Instead, they'll be supporting Blizzard projects, which could go into ongoing games like World of Warcraft and Hearthstone as well.
Which I think it's good for Diablo and Overwatch fans, because Vicarious Visions, I think, worked on Destiny as well.
They did, Destiny 2 with Bungie.
Yeah, so they have done that sort of work before. So I do think it is good for them franchises, and it's going to I can only see as a boon to Blizzard. But it's just a shame to lose what the great work they've been doing over the last few years.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so sad or good story, depending on where you sit. Again, I think I'm just kind of like tainted because I think of the Crash Bandicoot thing being so good, and then Tony Hawk's been so good. It just seems a shame to take that studio and be like, oh, go help with the online of this other project, right? Rather than have them do like another great thing, whatever it may be, or give them another Tony Hawk game to remake, or like 3 and 4, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but guess not. Again, so not Stadia, but I think it is gaming news and does impact us, because again, I hold out that we will see the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and other Activision smaller titles port across the Stadia more so than the multiplayer ones.
I think Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 could do really well on Stadia. It's just one of them sort of, it's a bit more, with it being a bit more of a casual title where you can just literally jump in and play a 2-minute map and you're done. Having that always on your platform and not taking up your hard drive or your SSD space is a brilliant thing.
Yeah. Well, that's all the smaller ones. We've said a few times, I think, with our predictions. Like, if Activision don't want to necessarily bring Call of Duty over because the sheer online numbers don't merit having that on the platform as of yet, test the water with a smaller title that's like beloved and it's got nostalgia and stuff is quite a decent idea. I think it's an easy port compared to some of the others. It doesn't have an online infrastructure to worry about, and funnily enough, you had Vicarious Visions who could have helped with the port until you've now sent them on other projects. Maybe they've been moved to Stadia project, lads.
Ooh,
Vicarious Visions will just purely work on Stadia ports. I'm joking. That's probably not going to happen.
Is this rumored Project Hailstorm? Where Hailstorm is actually a reference to Blizzard.
Tinfoil hats, guys. Tinfoil hats.
Storm, you've just blew the lid wide open on that one. Shit, I never even thought of that. That's crazy.
World of Warcraft coming to Stadia.
Wow.
By Vicarious Visions.
Wow.
Oh, there are rumors that World of Warcraft is being prepared for a console release, like however many years after it has come out. Like, why now?
Nice.
But,
yeah, I don't know. Is there a market there?
I mean, I'd
who knows?
Probably more so. But anyway, speaking of Stranger Things, back to some Stadia news for you lovely viewers and listeners out there. We've got a new game announced from Devolver Digital. We've got I knew I was going to say it wrong when I had to read it. Was it Pikuniku coming to Stadia?
Pikuniku. It's the Japanese word for picnic.
Is it?
Well, it's the Romanized version. So it's the Japanese way of saying the English word.
Right. So translation through a translation machine, and back out. Yeah. So essentially, this little indie darling to me looks like some kind of mismatch between the Mr. Men and Mrs. Little kids books used to get. Because they definitely look like Mr. Strong and Mr. Tickle and stuff with the way their arms and legs move. Mashed with Loco Roco from back in the PSP era, if you remember. It's a co-op game. Like I said, come from Devolver Digital. It was set to come out on the same day as Hitman, but the developers clearly thought it was best to get out of the way of Agent 47 as not to risk his wrath, and they pushed themselves back to February 2nd. Yeah. So next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, depending on when you listen to the show. You'll be able to pick this one up. Pikuniku. Pikuniku. Why can't I say it? Either way, it's coming out. This, I think, Richie, you said in the pre-show, it's got pro written all over it.
Yeah. Especially considering they've pushed the date back to like the start of the month, and the fact that it's already out on other platforms, so it's not a brand new title. So I can see this being a pro game.
It looks fun. I quite like the look of it. Though. I was saying it's like there's something about the bright colours and like it looks whimsically daft enough to just have a good couple of hours worth of a laugh with another co-op person. Nice jolly music, but yeah, for me it's got pro written all over it. I'd imagine price wise it's probably going to be in around the £10 mark, $12 mark, I'd guess, for other people.
Yeah, it is. We do have a price for it already, I believe. I'm just going to get it loaded real quick. $10.39 or €10.39. So we're probably going to be looking around about $7.99, $8.99. That sort of mark.
£10.29 on Steam.
Right.
Okay, so probably just a little less than Steam, potentially.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm building up my Google credits, lads. I'm currently on about £8 something, so.
Nice.
I keep spending mine. I have an option when I buy stuff from my phone to just partially use it. So I had like £2 and what did I buy? I think I used it on Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Oh, partial. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was all or nothing.
I feel like for a while I had the option to use some of it, and now that's gone. That's been completely taken away from me. But I did manage to accrue enough for Scott Pilgrim for when we did our stream.
It was Scott Pilgrim. It wasn't Immortals Phoenix Rising. Yeah.
Oh, so you just lied to us,
in it.
Richie.
Yeah.
Live on the show. You just lied to your two co-hosts.
My apologies, everyone. I didn't lie. I was misremembered.
Yeah.
I knew it was the last game I bought.
Well, Pikuniku, shame on you.
Yeah.
Right, and the final topic of the week from our news segment was we didn't want to put it at the top of the show because it's all just rumor and conjecture, and we're not about that on this show. But it does lend us to an interesting conversation for the rest of the year, and that is a guy called Brad Sams, who's a YouTuber. He's got quite close ties with Microsoft and the gaming industry, and he's got some behind the scenes people who led him to, in the past week or so, he mentioned that Microsoft, Amazon and Google are all in the market for looking to acquire studios, which kind of goes back to our previous conversations about the roadmap and the year ahead and 400 games, and feasibly Stadia needs to acquire more studios before there's nothing left to buy, because we've seen Microsoft make massive strides last year with the Bethesda acquisition. We know Sony have their own inherent built-in studios. We know Nintendo do, and we've said time and time again that first-party games, exclusive titles, they do a lot to bring people to a platform, especially if they're critically acclaimed, really, really top-tier games.
I typically think the games tend to be of higher quality because they're laser focused on just that one platform.
Yeah, 100%. Like me and you said, Richie, a good couple of times after playing The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima last year, then moving on to third-party games like from Ubisoft and such, is the sheer difference in quality from facial animations to textures and everything like that. There's a vast gap in between that, and it all comes from, like you said, focused development on one particular platform. So we know Stadia have acquired Typhoon Studios. The Twitter's famous friend Alex Hutchinson running that joint over there, director of Stadia, whatever he classed himself as. And then he's working on something. We know we're getting Journey to the Savage Planet this next month, February, right? If I recall, February pro game.
Yeah, it is coming soon.
I'm sure they said February for some reason.
Soon. Yeah.
It must be soon. So we've got him. We've obviously got the other studios, which is headed by Shannon Studstill as well. And we've got to imagine, I feel like there's one more. That was Santa Monica, maybe. That might be the same one. I'm overthinking it. But either way, 3 isn't really enough to keep things ticking over, especially if you want games. A few games every year. We know they've got the Stadia Makers program. We know they've got second-party deals with the likes of Supermassive, Harmonix, and a couple of other companies as well. We obviously saw Outcasters off the back of one of those such deals. But then that kind of leads me thinking, as we head into 2021 and we've got the future roadmap, whether we can see it or not, this news story that's coming out from Brad Sams over on YouTube, who's up for purchase? And I kind of just wanted to spend a few moments theorizing really about who we think would be right for the picking with that Google cash milk gentleman. Who would they be looking to buy? Anyone in particular comes to mind for you two?
I'm trying to think. For me, it'd have to be a studio that they've worked closely with already.
Okay.
And there isn't that many.
See, one that always gets me immediately.
Ubisoft.
See that it would never be Ubisoft. Never happening. They make too much money on their own. I mean, strange things have happened. Let's remember that Microsoft just spent $7 billion on Bethesda, so we can't really turn that away. I don't think it's in Google's best interest to do that, though.
No, I don't think it's very much not in Ubisoft's best interest, because if you think about. Yeah, it might be great for the directors to pocket a large sum of cash, but it would very much hinder the company. And their ethos seems to be, we want you to just play our games wherever you want to.
I mean, they just fought off...
tying themselves to one platform seems to be counterintuitive.
But they just fought off a hostile takeover in the last year or two, didn't there, as well, where I can't remember who the company was. It was trying to basically force them out and buy more shares bit by bit up, and they managed to win out on that one. So I can't see then suddenly they wanted to do the whole thing again with Google. So it's definitely not their prerogative. For me, it would be Rebellion Games. If we think about Rebellion Studios,
I can see that.
We've got all of their back catalogue has essentially been a pro game. So we've had Strange Brigade, we've had Zombie Army 4, and we've had Sniper Elite 4. Sniper Elite. So that's 3 of their flagship games have all been pro games, which means there's a great relationship or a great marketing business conversation happening behind the scenes. And I think they are one of those studios where they're not quite AAA, as I would say, but with some investment in kind of maybe space to expand the studio and become a first party, and work exclusively on one platform. I think that would give them a good. It's a good marriage, ideally, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it, but my issue with Rebellion Games is they are very much a AA developer and seem to be comfortable with that. I don't think they've ever attempted to make something it's like a AAA standard. So my issue would be you don't know if they're going to be capable of taking that step up as a studio, even with there's more to it than just money. Mm-hmm. It's personnel as well.
That's right. True. Okay.
So sometimes it feels like they have their niche. So although I think Google should buy them.
Yeah.
And things like Sniper Elite, Zombie Army, Strange Brigade can become first party Google Stadia titles.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one with the games, because for me, I would expect that they're probably ready for a new IP though as well. Like, you've got up to your 4th iteration on Sniper Elite and Zombie Army, and like Strange Brigade was obviously one of their attempts. I don't think it was probably received as well. As much fun as we had, I don't think it was received as well to the wider masses. So they're probably ready to start a new thing, and I think it'd be a great starting point to be an exclusive from Stadia's standpoint anyway.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think if they stay like this AA developer and keep releasing their games as pro titles, then because the appeal of the games might be then more people are likely to try it rather than having to fork out, and they'll make the money back for the pro subscriptions.
Yeah. I'm just having a quick look through at some Stadia games just to see who else might be involved in these sorts of things. I would have previously gone with someone like Handy Games, but they were acquired by THQ Nordic, so we can't go for that anymore.
Well, that's the problem. If you wait too long, either Tencent or THQ Nordic are just going to come in and absorb every company. So, got to be quick, Google.
Yeah.
Got to be quick.
It's tricky because you're right. Again, on the same sort of basis there, you just look at the publishers that are really supporting the platform. And we know Ubisoft is not going to happen. Curve Digital, possibly. Not a lot of games in their back catalogue in terms of like Stadia support, but you know, we've got Ember from them through Muse Games. Previously known for games like, we've got Human Fall Flat as well. Sorry, I should say that as well.
That's true.
Velocity 2X, which is on the Nintendo Switch. I'm just having a quick look through. Lone Survivor. We not pitched to get Lone Survivor on Stadia at some point. I feel like
that I've heard.
No. Thomas Was Alone. You know, a lot of old like indie titles again with quite a bit of oomph behind them. But is indie too low? Is that pitching it too low? Is what I'd be worried about.
I'm not against it. Them picking up indie studios. The problem is I don't think it's going to move the needle the same way as like Sony. Sony's ownership of like Naughty Dog or things of that. That's the sort of caliber. If you want to get first party exclusives, you kind of need to be getting up towards that caliber. So you want either aim for a studio that's already working there, or one that is maybe just a little bit off that you think with the right investment can step into that.
Yeah, you're totally right, because I think like that goes back to like Guild. As much as we had fun with Guild as an exclusive, it isn't that caliber that draws attention and like it gets the masses to.
It's not a system seller.
Yeah, completely. They need that winning formula that like really draws it out, and I think for me a big one that really helps do that is studios that have already kind of shown like one foot in the door for that kind of thing. So another one of mine was Remedy. Who obviously they're famed for Alan Wake. They've got the recently release of Control, and they also did Quantum Break on Xbox back in the day as well. And they are, for me, one of those developers who are clearly capable of producing a AAA quality game, but on the budget of a AA game, because Remedy made Control with like barely any money compared to the other studios. It's actually shocking. Albeit it didn't run that well on last gen, from a visual standpoint. To me, it was marketed and looked from all the trailers and actual, now because I've finished the game, it wouldn't look very far off a AAA standard quality from the mechanics and the animations. Spot on.
Remedy's a good one, because if you think now if they had a bigger budget and a bit more time, they might have been able to fully nail that full AAA feeling. But when they were very much probably like 2.9 A's.
Yeah, it's
I can't really see Remedy with Stadia though.
See, that's the thing. My thing with Remedy is that they've kind of jumped around quite a lot. They had a relationship back in the day. Well, obviously when they did Alan Wake and stuff, they were kind of all over the place. And then they dealt a deal with exclusivity for why do I keep for Quantum Break, where they had Iceman from X-Men and it was like built into a TV series when Microsoft were doing the whole TV and gaming thing. But then Control, I think the reason a lot of it is, like you said there, with a small budget, stability. I think all these independent studios out there right now, they're looking for that influx of cash that they don't have to worry about where the next project's coming from. And I think Remedy is at that size now where they've proven they can make a Game of the Year winning title, remember? For a lot of outlets for 2018 it was. Like, how long do these studios go about not knowing where the next paycheck is going to come from? And I think being bought by Stadia would actually benefit both parties immensely.
Yeah, my problem is if Remedy was up for sale, I think Sony and Microsoft would be fighting over it.
So,
in which case, I don't think Stadia comes into the conversation just yet. As much as Google is a financial powerhouse, these people who've developed these independent studios are passionate about games. They want to see what's best for the studio as well. And if you got a choice between Sony, Microsoft, and Stadia, you basically got a choice between Sony and Microsoft. Unfortunately, at the moment.
Are they not all spent though right now? Like, does Sony need another third-party action game when you've already got Horizon and Uncharted and Last of Us? Like,
It depends what you want to use the studio for. You look at Guerrilla, who made Horizon. What was it? Killzone. What was it? Killzone. Yeah, two very different games.
True.
I mean, I'd love to see it.
I just think Microsoft is spent out right now. I don't think they need to be making any big acquisitions anytime soon. I mean, they haven't even finalised the Bethesda deal yet. Paycheck.
I wonder if a good acquisition might be a publisher like Devolver Digital. You're just thinking you're sort of like... just like hitting mid-market, really. Because like Devolver, we're not really talking about like a massive big hitters, but we are talking like, we've got the support from Crow Team in terms of Serious Sam. Previously they've had like the Duke Nukem games, the Talos Principle. Then you just go all the way down like the silly games as well, like Genital Jousting is one on the list.
You'd actually be buying a lot. Well, did Devolver Digital own any studios?
They do.
Just the publishing rights?
No, I believe they own Crow Team and they own Good Shepherd Entertainment, and then it's publishing for a lot of indie studios.
Yeah,
but getting them on board, I don't know. I think it's a tough question. Actually, it's a tough question because I think the problem we've got there is, as you've said before, Chris, is that a lot of people, a lot of the time, we look at this and then you just think, they've waited too long. They're already acquired by some bigger entertainment group. Well, I think another thing we need to really think about here for a moment as well is the other side of the coin is that, we've got, Stadia's own first party development, which is Stadia Games and Entertainment. It's that entertainment part of it as well that needs to be fleshed out a little bit because there's nothing there yet, really. I'd be interested to see where they're going to go with that and what they could acquire to support that too.
I just always took that and entertainment as a way of just differentiating the head of the studios from just a Stadia Games. So that Stadia Games and entertainment sounds a bit better.
I'd like them to all get their own unique names. I feel like them all being like just all under the Stadia Games Entertainment banner. I would like to have them have their own like unique personal take, so we can now recognise like what does it mean to be this title game as opposed to just they're all Stadia Games Entertainment.
I think you'll see it in the future when we actually start getting like games come from the first party studios, probably similar to Ubisoft, where like Ubisoft Montreal and
like
stuff like that. Yeah, but he's another one I'm just going to throw out there. Okay. Sega.
It's been rumoured a lot for Microsoft as well, that one, but it's something for me. I just think because they come with like the mascot of Sonic and all their IP. Then I think it forces Stadia's hand to you can't go exclusive with that because it would just piss off the rest of the industry even more so if you went like, the next Sonic game Stadia exclusive. Sonic's now a Stadia mascot. I think you risk too much wrath with that purchase than you do with positivity.
big of a franchise now.
I don't think it needs to be. I think it's the known name being now hidden behind a different platform that would frustrate people and put them off.
Yeah, you're probably right. And actually, I could see them almost going, as weird as a 90s kid saying this, see them ending up with Nintendo.
Wow. Or Sega.
That is weird. Sega over the last probably 20, I suppose 30 you're right. years now have worked very closely with Nintendo. Wow. After they dropped out the console market.
That is true. But yeah, I just think there's not tainted, but yeah, if you take a beloved IP, I mean, and potentially put it somewhere else, I think anyone who's going to think of Stadia, how many people are just going to kick off about, again, whether they've bought a Sonic game or not in the last 15, 20 years, the fact that this Sega mascot is now, you can only play his games on Stadia is like...
But just because the studio's owned by Google doesn't mean it needs to be exclusive.
True, but do you think it's beneficial for Stadia then to just not do that? Again,
if they're buying if they're buying the publishing rights, then they're getting things like Football Manager and a couple of other things as well.
Humankind.
So it could be, okay, we're going to, you can get it here on Stadia, but we're also going to maybe play nice with others.
True.
And then think about it, if you bought a new Sonic game on your PS5, Stadia getting the kickback from that.
True. Tell you where you can play Sonic on Amazon Luna.
Oh, let's not.
Let's not. So sticking with a few studios and then I've got in mind Supermassive as well. We know they've got a deal in place with Stadia, so that is the people who made the Until Dawn series on PlayStation as an exclusive. They've also they're taking part in the Dark Pictures anthology with Man of Medan and Of Little Hope. I think is what it's called, was their recent one. Town of Hope. I can't remember what it's called. Again, horror, always based on horror. So if Stadia aren't getting Resident Evil, this is probably another studio who has clearly shown they are capable of making a AAA quality game in terms of visuals, because Until Dawn looked gorgeous back in the day on PS4. Kind of fits that niche of Stadia having a horror thing to base their experiences on. And again, I think they're right for the picking. PlayStation clearly don't want them. They could have bought them after Until Dawn. They're now branching out and doing all these Dark Pictures things on everything. I think that'd be a good get for them. They're not really tied to any one particular brand.
No, that's fair. And even on that sort of basis as well, if you want to talk about those current deals, you can also look at the likes of Harmonix as well. We know they got a deal in place with Harmonix. Could it be a resurgence of the Harmonix brand? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who really knows?
You could make a case for any studio.
Yeah, you could.
Even things like Capcom and Konami, that you could make cases for both and against.
I wouldn't want Konami. It's too much bad blood that comes with that purchase as well.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to bring back a Metal Gear Solid.
Maybe we get Kojima.
Well, he's independent as well, yeah. And the final one for me that just popped into my mind then while we're talking about all these things was Quantic Dream as well. David Cage, obviously they did Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain back in the day. I know there was a minority investment from a Chinese company, I think last year sometime or the year before. Can't really remember.
Tencent?
No, it wasn't Tencent. It was another one. But again, when similar to Supermassive games, that they can put out that AAA quality, because I love Detroit Become Human. Very distinct. It's almost like Telltale, but on steroids in terms of the way the games run. And I just think they're kind of just floating around. They don't have any exclusive deals with anyone. They're a decent sized studio. Again,
I don't know why. In my head, I have an association with them and Sony. I don't know why though.
It's because they made 3 exclusive games, didn't they? Wasn't Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit all Sony exclusive for the most part? Maybe it's PC as well, but
exclusivity.
So that's probably why, Richie.
Yeah.
But then, obviously they're not, and I think they said after the Detroit Become Human, I'm pretty sure they made an open statement saying they ported them all over to PC, which was part of the fest. They're moving away from Sony exclusivity because the games came to PC. And then I think now they're sat there. I think the only problem that comes with them is David Cage and the hostile workplace allegations, all that stuff that happened last year is kind of potentially not good press for a new platform. But
you can never win with these things, can you? Really?
There's always,
you can buy them out though.
Yeah,
there's always some.
You can buy the company. Go, look, we'll take the company. Here's the money, but you leave.
Ooh.
Yeah,
maybe
it's he might take. You never know if he's getting a massive stack of cash. like go set up a new studio, but it's possible.
It is indeed, but yeah, I can't think of any more than a couple of indie ones that we've probably seen in Stadia. I think they, for me, are those triple 2 to A quality studios that are independent currently. They're not working on any active projects with other publishers or platforms. And if you want to get them in the door, like you said right at the beginning, Tom, it was like, these games need to be underway now, otherwise it's going to look like a very barren 2022 and 2023. And yes, we're getting 400 games, but is it just going to be held up by little indie titles? Left, right, and centre. Yeah. We need these flagship tentpole games, as we've seen from Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo. I'd probably say third of the year, you need something to prop up the platform that's exclusive.
Yeah, please give us more, and please give us it now. We need hope again.
Little hope.
Little hope.
Supermassive games.
Just a smidgen. Good.
Do you think we're just a bit salty because January has been a very slow news month?
It's tough because we're also in lockdown as well, and we're just looking for some sort of joy in life right now.
Any shred of light that we can find.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a shred of light, though, gentlemen, you'll be happy to know that Cyberpunk's patch is finally out. The 1.1 patch, as promised. I jumped back into my game on Stadia, and it didn't fix the glitch that I'm having. Still, so I'm still stuck with those two conversation threads overlapping each other. So I've just gone back to Valhalla. I think I'm coming up on 100 hours in Valhalla now. So I must be near the end, Richie. Tell me I'm near the end soon.
I clocked in over 100 hours, so if you're cleaning up the map entirely,
I'm trying to do the story stuff specifically. I'm starting to now go past all those little glistening mysteries and bits of wealth, because I'm rich enough, I'm powerful enough. I'm just going to mainline the story now.
I need to crack on and play that game. I'm still nowhere.
You were the most excited of the three of us for it.
I know, but it's bad timing with everything else in life. It's so difficult right now.
Fake Viking. Tom is a fake
Viking.
Do them tattoos stick on? Are they drawn on with felt tip?
Yeah, hold on.
You need to stop wasting your time on League of Legends. Get back
it's okay.
Oh, there's Richie's salt coming out. And then just to wrap up the show, gents, as we do, there was a couple of things that have been dropping in the news the last couple of weeks, but we've not funnily enough not got round to talking about them. Have you seen all this stuff going on with NBA 2K21 and not getting updates?
Yeah.
So obviously none of us are basketball fans, so we're not really probably clued in to all that. But apparently the game's getting its standard updates and patches on every other platform, and Stadia's just been left out in the cold. Things like roster updates. Apparently loads of people move teams halfway through the season. Again, we don't know how it works. So apologies to any basketball fans out there. But there's like players who are on the wrong teams like many months later, and it's all been updated on other platforms, and yet the Stadia one's just left out there. Not good.
It just seems like typical bad 2K practice. I mean, that's what I've started to feel about 2K in recent years, is just that they've just, whatever's going on behind the scenes, it just feels like they just don't care as much anymore about the consumer. We wait for the longest time for, I know it's with Gearbox as well, but we wait the longest time for certain Borderlands 3 patches in the initial, like in the get-go when it first came out on Stadia. And this is like months after the game had already come out. So just to give you a bit more clarity on, so the article of 9 to 5 Google, I know there's a few people who tagged us on Twitter, so thank you for that, for pointing out the article as well. But yeah, apparently in Reddit there's just 2K and Take-Two Games are essentially ignoring the Stadia port. Ongoing title relying on updates, publishers kept in line with the NBA season, so 2K fans have had an issue. The updates just aren't coming through. Rosters specifically for Stadia haven't been updated since November 18th 2020. Biggest issue is that the lack of official roster updates puts the game out of sync with the actual season, and a bunch of other things as well, patches and such. A huge list of bugs, which is apparently the Stadia port still has compared to other platforms. But on the plus side, at least the game's still on Stadia, right, Chris? Compared to other sports games?
Funny enough, when you reference sports games there, we wouldn't have an episode without my FIFA follow-up, so... FIFA 21 coming, of course, winter, not even a year, just winter, coming this winter. Did they even say this winter or just winter? It could be any winter in the years to come.
It's coming winter 2027.
But yeah, as of now, ladies and gentlemen, FIFA 21 has been available on other platforms for 106 days. And as we now trickle into it's weird because for me, Richie, now as we trickle into February, I'm picturing like our football season in the UK essentially is like kind of starting to head into like its final throws now, where all of your fantasy teams, you need to get them done if you want those points, get your bets on. The top part of the league breaks away from the lesser half of the league, and the title race really starts to begin. And you and me and many other people, all the Twitter feed, I see every post the official Stadia page puts out there, scroll down, you will see a handful of comments as, where's FIFA? Got an update on FIFA. And the shocking thing, back to the roadmap, I know I say it every week practically now, but this isn't marketing. EA and Stadia are far too quiet. This is a AAA game that's still the best-selling game on PlayStation and stuff. It beat out a lot of the Ubisoft games that launched. FIFA was above them in the UK physical sales media, and yet here we are with just mum's the word, tight-lipped, and it's just getting a bit fed up with it all now. Anything to add, Richie?
The thing is, the long I've said this before, but I'll just quickly reiterate. The later this game comes, the cheaper it's going to have to be for me to even consider it. And even then, to be honest, I might just on principle, just like, no, because I don't want to support games coming this late to the platform by giving you like 25 quid for a game that's like over 100 days after other platforms.
I mean, at what
I
point...
really hope with this game, I think this game is never going to flop on Stadia. I really do. Because of how late in the season it is. Because I dare say most people who wanted FIFA have got it by now on other platforms. Unless you only play on Stadia. Which just makes me think, like, I hope EA don't look at the sales numbers and go, oh, we're not going to move a new FIFA over because no one bought it.
Yeah. It's making it rod for its own back.
Context of the reality.
Yep. At what point will we be... I mean, the ironic thing is if it comes out after the bloody season finishes, wouldn't it? But at what point do we get closer to next year's FIFA than we are from last year's FIFA? It must be like around April time.
Interesting fact.
At the halfway point.
Shifting to American football real quick, sorry. It's already too late for Madden at this point. Like, we're supposed to be getting Madden 21.
That is true,
but it's already too late for Madden on Stadia. We're very quickly approaching that point with FIFA, if not, as you say, already passed. Are we past the point now before...
That's the halfway point of the season. We're closer to the end of the season now than the beginning.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a bit different.
So weird because, it's just so weird because we got Jedi Fallen Order just as promised, and it was great on Stadia. But since then, it's just been like, EA, what?
Just quiet completely.
Yeah. Didn't they promise 5 games and we got 1?
But... weird, what are you going to do? But interesting enough, obviously, we always talk about the Premier League in the UK, but there are many other countries that do play football. On a flip side, Google's an American company. The MLS doesn't start till March, typically. So it could time itself really well for a stateside launch when everyone's like, oh, the new MLS season's starting, and we might see better sales there, but...
If this is a complete brand new franchise, maybe that could work, but it's not, and... the European game does start like in the summer, and it's by far the most profitable place. So, in terms of football,
either way. And then last little story of the week. We won't spend too much on this time, but I just wanted to mention this. Have you seen Google maybe leaving Australia?
Please don't. We need more English players.
Because the one laws around news outlets. Apparently, they want Google to pay the news outlets for the search engine for the story, which, sorry, Google's a private company. The search engine helps people find your news. Like, it's daft.
It's because Google making ad revenue off it, but it's like...
It's their search engine. It goes back to when they were fined by the European Commissions a few years ago for putting Google search engines Google search results as a priority over other search results. So if you search for a mobile phone, it would maybe direct you towards the Pixel over an iPhone first. And they got fined like millions and millions of euros by the EU Commission's authorities. And again, I still stand by. Sorry, but it's their goddamn platform. I don't go into one supermarket and expect to see other supermarket brand stuff on the shelves. But for some reason, because Google's in the internet, they're beholden to other countries' laws. Obviously, to a degree, that sounds like I'm such a Google fan. Like, they're not beholden to other laws of the country. They are. But when it comes
of
to
all the things
penalising,
people have to Google for, it just seems like weird ones, like things like the practice of selling data, advertisement, all that sort of stuff that you could like questionable. Just being a search engine is like seems like
you find yourself as a company.
Yeah,
it's just so It's I think it's a dying industry of the news, the newspapers just wanting to make like a final desperate legal attempt to get some money, similar to the music industry as well. I think I said to you, Richie, about the guys in the UK. They're trying to petition for MPs to get involved and politically get involved because current music artists trying to break into the music scene now are struggling because apparently everyone on streaming services listen to old music like Queen, the Beatles, and Aerosmith and stuff, and it's like my argument to that is like make better music. If people are still listening to the old stuff, then yours clearly ain't good enough. So sorry that you can't break into the top 100 listening.
Over the last like couple of years, especially with the pandemic, I do empathise with like artists trying to get out there because they can't go and gig, so a big part of it has been taken off. But well, stream it then. Find your ways and means. Like you have to adapt. Back in the 70s and 80s, people didn't have Twitter to broadcast their music all around the world, and they still made it. So you just need to adapt to the circumstance you're in, unfortunately, a bit. And if people are still listening to old music, that's not ever going to change, and I don't think MPs should get involved.
No, you don't want to be political. You don't want to be like, oh, the top 10 charts has to feature one person under the age of 25 every week or something. It's like, then you're just getting far too weird with it. But anyway...
That's ageism.
Well, yeah, potentially, yeah. But anyway, so clearly the answer to that is flexibility, adaptability, a roadmap of where you want to be, all the many things that we hope to see on Stadia. Last final point, gentlemen, give us quick shout-outs for your February Pro predictions. We get them this coming Tuesday, probably the time a lot of people are listening to this. So to round out the episode, Tom, Richie, give us some of your quick February Pro predictions.
Go. All of the games that I've recently purchased. So Enter the Gungeon, Reigns, and I'm just trying to think what else I've bought recently. Go on, Richie, over to you while I think about this.
I'm going to go with Pac-Man, Megatonal Battle, and Pikuniku.
Okay.
Pikuniku?
I'll throw in Little Big Workshop because I've been playing a ton of that.
Little Big Workshop could be a good one.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
I'm trying to think of like the store what, because we're guessing we get 5 or 6 again.
Potentially, yeah.
What games have we got?
I think it depends. If they throw a bigger title at us, maybe possibly you could get something like Assassin's Creed Origins.
I don't think we get any Ubisoft games.
Yeah,
just with Ubisoft Plus being on so close to the horizon.
Just give us something like classic Watch Dogs.
Ubisoft Plus, that'd be it. 1 month for Ubisoft Plus.
Nah, that doesn't work.
I don't think.
Chronos Before the Ashes.
Okay.
26 quid. That seems like a biggish one.
It's budget Dark Souls.
Yeah. Destroy All Humans. SpongeBob.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
Family Finance Ubisoft. We won't get that. I don't think we'll get any Ubisoft games. We've already got Grid. No more Hitman games to give us. Hotline Miami 2, maybe. You think?
We've had Square titles before. We've got the Tomb Raider games.
Lost Words, finally, maybe.
Oh wow!
Lost Words still hasn't made it over. But yeah, there's not actually much more. Outward, because again, I'm always picturing like there's always one big game and then like interstitial little ones. Don't remember as well, ladies and gentlemen, Reigns you can pick up with a 40p discount right now. If you weren't tempted by the £1.59 price point, maybe it's a saving of 40 pence. We'll push you over the edge on that one. But yeah, there's not really much left to go. Spiritfarer potentially, but this goes back to like the 400 games, Tom. Realistically, they're running out of games to give us for Pro, which we said could be a problem anyway. So watch this space. By this week, we will have your rundown of Stadia Pro games, ladies and gentlemen. But don't forget, thank you for tuning in for episode 70 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Give us a like and a subscribe down below if you somehow haven't already. But like we also said, share it with your friends. Follow us over on Patreon at patreon.com/SoundsStadia if you'd like to give us a little bit more support. Really, really help us elevate our content into the 1K mark. We're going to bring you super chat and emoji things or special colours in the chat. I can't remember what else you get with it, but we can't wait. We've got loads of good stuff in the pipeline. If you are a patron, we are giving you a sneak preview in the coming weeks as we creep towards that 1K as well of what we've got lined up. It may be new shows, maybe new content, it may be more secret stuff. But you'll have to tune in to find out. But thank you very much. Enjoy your week, everyone. Go play some games. My name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
And I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia, episode number 70. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye.